Welcome back to Pack the Rock podcast for the first week of the season coming up in just a few days. For the Hoosier Network, I'm William Stewart. Alongside us, the Rook, Ian Plaskoff sitting to my left, and of course across from me, Ava Wegenke, Nick Rodecap, both back on the beat from last year. And well, since we're just back, we're going to get right into it. No season overview. We know how the season ended. It's been since December. Let's start with, should we introduce Plaskoff?
Yeah, let's introduce Ian Plaskoff. Right. I think that's a great place to start.
Sounds like a good idea.
Plaskoff's the first year. How are we feeling?
I am very excited. I have followed Indiana football my entire life. I'm a third-generation Indiana student, and things have not been so good for my mom and my grandmother when Indiana football is going on. So things are trending in the right direction, which we'll break down. But no, I'm excited. Football has always been my number one sport to cover, to be around. Worked hard to get to this point. Grateful for the opportunity, and I'll do the best I can to tell the best stories I can, and share some of the underbelly of this Indiana football season.
He had it going, and then he lost it. You were on a roll there for a good 2 minutes.
I think it was solid.
It was good. How are we feeling to be back?
Very excited.
Feels good. Ready to get going. The weather is going to be fantastic this weekend.
Beautiful.
I was fully expecting to be sweating and perspiring like crazy on the turf, but no, it's going to be like 75 and sunny and brand new turf as well. So very excited to get back at the Rock.
Merchants Bank Field turf.
Merchants Bank Field at Memorial Stadium.
At Memorial Stadium.
Yeah. Right.
The merch.
And
the merch.
Speaking of the players that are going to be on the merch, is that what we're going to...
Unofficial.
I just call it the bank.
No.
The bank?
Can we just stick to Memorial Stadium?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
I feel like that's...
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so the players who are actually going to be on Merchants Bank Field, the important part of this podcast. Big Ten preseason honors. Those came out back in July. Mikhail Kamara and D'Angelo Pons, two All-Americans who are returning to Indiana, both of the selections by the Big Ten Conference. Do we have any opinions on those two being the selections, or are we good with all that?
I mean, I feel like it's a little bit expected from those two. You might have thought to see Aiden Fisher on that list as well. Offensively, things are a little bit more spread out as far as talent. There's obviously some superstars. Some are unproven, though, in new faces and younger guys stepping up. Defensively, it's where you see a lot more of that consistency, that veteran presence coming over from James Madison, staying at Indiana, whatever it may be. And having that at all three levels, even though Fisher's not on that list, it'll definitely play a factor.
Yeah, the All-American's kind of hard to deny.
Yeah, I feel like Mikhail Kamara has potential to be one of the best defensive players, not just in the Big Ten this year, but in the country. And he showed that last year. Didn't get as many flowers for it as I thought he should, but I think he and D'Angelo Pons will be game changers for Indiana, just like they were last year. I mean, it's just hopefully a continuation of what they did to change so many games. I mean, the pick six against Washington, that's one of the most iconic moments from last season. Mikhail Kamara wrecking Michigan State. That was burned in my mind for sure. I expect those guys to be game changers this year, but I was surprised not to see Aiden Fisher on that list because I feel like he very easily could have been part of those preseason honorees.
Right. Well, the thing was they only had two, but still you would think, the first team All-American would make it over Kamara. But anyways, that was the preseason honors. Preseason conference rankings. These are interesting. ESPN has Indiana at 6th. They're 26th in the Football Power Index with a rating of 9.9. They're a spot below Kansas State, which is important because they just lost to Iowa State over in, was it Dublin?
Dublin.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Sports Illustrated has Indiana projected to finish 6th in the Big Ten. CBS also has them at 6th. And Yahoo also has Indiana to finish 6th in the conference.
I mean, there's consistency.
That's a way to look at it.
Yeah, I feel like the general consensus is that Indiana's going to regress.
Yeah.
Mostly just because the schedule objectively is tougher. I think people are overrating Illinois. I don't think Illinois is as good as people say they are. But Oregon, Penn State, Iowa,
Ohio State.
No Ohio State.
Mm-mm.
Negative Ohio State this year. If Ohio State was on the schedule, then the Indiana would
Oh,
probably
you're talking about the
go
schedule.
Yeah. But no. Illinois is going to be tough, but Illinois is not as good as people say they are. Oregon is going to take a step back, but then you've got Penn State, and you've also got Iowa on the road. I think Iowa might be a tough game. Then again, they just discovered the forward pass. But the general consensus is that Indiana.
You can't walk into Kinnick. You can't just walk in there and win.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, because the schedule is tougher, but also people think Indiana's going to crater. I don't know. I don't think last year was a fluke. I'll put it that way. I think a lot of people think that Indiana's just going to go 7-5. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of people think last year was like a Cinderella run, like you see in March Madness. Like you see a school like, I don't know, say like Loyola Chicago, good for a year, a couple years, and then nobody talks about them ever. That's what the college football's different though. Once you get good in college football, it's very difficult to go back. The expectations are obviously higher for Indiana, and as you said, the schedule is more difficult, especially with those road games. And also, I mean, conference standings, you also have to factor in games that are not on the schedule, teams that are not on the schedule. And I think Nebraska will be better. I think Washington will be better, USC potentially. The rest of the league is also starting to get better, and last year, obviously, things were different. But I don't see much of a talent drop-off from Indiana, and the coaching philosophy is obviously going to stay the same. The retaining of staff members is the same as well. There are so many unknown factors that it's hard to say Indiana would drop to 6. It's also hard to say Indiana would stay where they were last year. So just the games will give us our answer, I guess.
And the one thing I did want to ask about, this is kind of directed at Nick, ESPN's Football Power Index. How do you feel about Indiana being 26th?
I think it's very on brand for ESPN. I think there's kind of this self-fulfilling cycle where SEC teams are overvalued when the season, or before the season even begins, just because they're in the SEC. And people still think that the SEC is the big, bad football conference, which for the last 2 seasons has had 0 representatives in the national championship game. But the SEC gets overvalued, and then those teams aren't necessarily punished for beating up on each other. But when they're ranked highly out of the gates, then, it's kind of this, oh, well, they're ranked, we got 2 top 25 teams here, SEC teams are ranked at the start of the season, and then that changes, or that dictates the way people perceive them throughout the season. Kansas State being above Indiana right now is a joke, because if you watch that game in Dublin, I know it's week 0, I know they're playing across the Atlantic Ocean, Kansas State looked terrible, to be honest. They did not look like a top 25 team. I thought Kansas State should have fallen well below Indiana in the FPI. But they didn't, because, let's see, who was broadcasting that game? Who has the Big 12 media rights? ESPN has a toe in the water there. So it's not surprising. I'm not even really going to get mad about it anymore, because it's just not worth dignifying. Like, ESPN as a college football outlet has lost so much credibility, I think, because they're just going all in on this Indiana hate train. And of all people, Heather Dinich is one of the people leading that charge. I just don't really get it, because she graduated from here. But you look at who signs her paychecks, and it makes sense. So it's not surprising, but also I don't really think that people are going to look to ESPN as the end-all, be-all of college football coverage that it used to be. So, you play the games on the field. You don't play them on paper. I think that it's pretty easy to just kind of gloss over those rankings and just let Indiana do the talking on the field, just like last year.
I don't like looking at the rankings, but I did do a bit of a number crunch and found that 19 of the 25 teams in the FPI of the top 25 are ESPN partners. 14 of those teams are in the SEC. I don't take anything from the FPI. I don't ever look at the FPI. I rarely even look at the AP poll, but just worth noting.
Which, by the way, can we abolish the preseason AP poll? It's based entirely on results from last year and brand recognition, and I think it needs to go away, because you cannot, in the era of the transfer portal, evaluate where teams are going to stand in relation to each other before a single game is even played. I think it's very flawed, and I get it. People wanted Texas, Ohio State as a 1 versus 2 to start the season, but are they the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country? There's no way to know. I would argue for at least 3 or 4 weeks, but we're going to keep having, preseason polls, because people like rankings. I just think that it's extremely flawed, and you're right. You shouldn't really even look at those rankings, because they're inherently flawed in the way that they're decided.
The only issue with the idea of not even looking at the rankings is the problem is the College Football Playoff Selection Committee looks at those rankings. Granted, that doesn't matter for 12 weeks, but it's something to keep in mind. Now, we talk about all the preseason predictions and everything. What adds into Indiana is there's so many new faces. mostly transfers, a lot of new freshmen. You'd think I don't know the English language talking about freshmen. What do you guys think is the best addition that Indiana got in the offseason?
Okay. Well, my favorite addition is Pat Coogan coming in and really like taking over. I'm blanking.
The offensive line room?
Yeah, in Kadek's spot. I feel like, it was just a really good addition and a really good leader to a room that really needed a very strong voice in there again.
I mean, everybody's going to talk about Fernando Mendoza. I think that's inherent. But the biggest thing for Indiana last year was struggling in the trenches in big games and important games. Coogan will help there, but also on the other side of the football, defensive line and edge rushers, they're crucial. You can't lose the edge. Indiana did that, and Jeremiah Love, 98 yards later, or whatever it was
that
touchdown.
was on a busted assignment. And
yeah, somebody didn't fill a gap.
Yeah, and after that rush, Jeremiah Love really didn't do anything.
That's true.
For the rest of the game. Like if I had wheels, I'd be a bicycle, right? But if that assignment isn't busted, then I don't know. Maybe Jeremiah Love doesn't end up with triple-digit rushing yards in that game.
That was just one example. But in the big games, Indiana struggled in the trenches defensively. Yes, the run game was strong, but it's always good to rush the passer as well. You look at the interior defensive line, Hosea Wheeler, Dominique Ratcliffe, I think they'll help. Kellen Wyatt, in-conference transfer coming off the edge on the outside, will be helpful as well. I'm big on play at the line on both sides, but defensively, if Indiana wants to keep up what was the number 2 rushing defense in the country last year, those are the guys I'm looking at, especially with linebacker room that relatively remains the same and a corner room that looks slightly different. It all starts up front, though.
Yeah, Fernando Mendoza. I'm interested to see what Indiana's offense looks like, considering Mendoza, as far as we know, has 2 intact ACLs, as opposed to Curtis Rourke having just 1.
That feels important.
Yeah. And if Mendoza has good protection and he's not running for his life like he was at Cal, then I'm interested to see what he can do. I also like Roman Hemby, because we were kind of circling his name when Maryland came to town last year. And he got a block from a referee on his touchdown run against Indiana. But we were circling him, and he's a very talented running back. And obviously you need a replacement for Justice Ellison and for Tyson Lawton as well. Both of them are gone. Meanwhile, Solomon Van Horst is in his 8th year in college, which is kind of crazy. But also you've got Caitlin Black, and you've got Solomon Van Horst, Lee Beebe in there as well. So you've got options in the running back room. But I am very excited to see what Roman Hemby can do behind this offensive line, which should be, I would say, a little bit better than it was last year. So it could be a very versatile Indiana offense, even more so than it was last year.
I feel like I could agree with the offensive line being better just because there's more cohesion with it. They're more familiar with playing with each other, and they know what they're going to go up against. And the addition of Pat Coogan is definitely huge. They've talked about that in the press conference. I don't know how many times. Pat's name seems to come up on a weekly basis.
A lot. His name has come up a lot.
Well, and Fisher was talking about how they just trash talk each other constantly. They're at the point in the season where they're tired of trash talking each other.
I mean, it's a good thing. It means that they're both very competitive. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, they were talking about it yesterday, Aiden Fisher and Carter Jones, both, about how they're excited to hit somebody else. So I'm thinking that we're going to see, and this could be the same one for Old Dominion, because everybody's itching to just play against somebody else at this point. But I'm excited to see if Indiana starts really fast on Saturday. You think it's week 1, they might start slow, but these guys are beyond ready to go. So maybe they play like they're shot out of a cannon. It could be very exciting.
Now, last year was a little different in week 1. The first half was definitely flat. So that don't get your expectations up if you're expecting some sort of Indiana shootout with Old Dominion or just some absolute blowout. Because they didn't score. They scored 1 touchdown, I think, in the first half last year.
Yeah, it was
first week.
It was very slow.
Yeah.
And I remember it was the sideline interview before they went into the locker room, and Cignetti didn't give any verbal answer. He just said, he didn't say any words. And then he just went to the locker room and was like, there you have it.
And then they came out and scored 30 in the second half.
Yeah. So whatever he said, and that's the thing, it seems like Cignetti has usually been very good about adjusting at halftime. And you talk about the middle 8, right? The last 4 minutes of the second quarter, the first 4 minutes of the third quarter, and I think that we're going to see, if Indiana starts slowly again against Old Dominion like they did against FIU, I think you're going to see something similar from Cignetti if he's interviewed before halftime.
And I bring up week 1 because we're going to transition into the coming week 1. Old Dominion coming to town. The Old Dominion Monarchs, they have a spread offense. They got a dual threat quarterback that seems to be the biggest focal point for the entire Indiana squad to kind of look at. Colton Joseph, he's a sophomore, had over 1,600 yards in the air last year and roughly 650 yards on the ground in 2024. That was only through 9 games. His backup threw for about 600 yards in the air, and I think he had, I want to say it was roughly 400 yards on the ground in the games where Joseph was absent. Their defense, it's a 3-3-5, so it's much more spread out. They're going to be constantly in nickel, and there's going to be a lot of blitzing. How do we feel about the Old Dominion Monarchs?
I think when you're talking specifically about that 3-3-5 defense, lots of blitzing, in a week 1 game with a new quarterback, a new offense, I think we're going to see Old Dominion defensively have a little bit of strength to begin the game before those adjustments are able to be made. Obviously, it's one thing to go against each other in fall camp, as we were saying, but going against a new defense that looks different and plays fast. I mean, Aiden Fisher was talking about this yesterday. He talked to some guys back at James Madison. He knew from playing Old Dominion in 2023, and Kurt Cignetti was saying this as well, this is no gimme game at all. Old Dominion's highly respected, as is the Sun Belt Conference. I think we'll see a lot of dink and dunk to begin the game from Indiana to go against this Old Dominion defense. And then offensively for Old Dominion, I could see them just keeping it simple. Dual threat quarterback. I could see them going with a lot of option, spread the field out, and just I could see some 10-play drives in the future for week 1 on both sides. And then second half, I could maybe see Indiana start to break away a little bit once that offense starts to feel comfortable. That's my take. I know it's a little detailed, but that's where I stand.
Well, we're on a podcast. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be detailed.
Well, yeah.
You got plenty of time to talk. You two.
Yeah, I mean, Old Dominion, the number one concern for me, and I know it's kind of hard to measure defensive impact just in terms of statistics, but Jason Henderson, Old Dominion's linebacker, season-ending injury in 2024. And the 2 seasons prior to that, he was among the NCAA leaders in tackles. It's clear that he is an impact player. Oh, what did I just do?
What?
Rodecap just broke the mic.
I did not break anything.
Man.
It's a magnetic cover.
Kate, you didn't see that.
Everything's fine.
That's crazy.
Everything's fine.
We got a bike reference. Nick's breaking the mic.
No, everything's
Welcome
great,
back
but
to Pack the Rock. We're so back.
Each of the last 2 years, he's been the NCAA leader in tackles, both assists and total tackles. He is an impact player. So I'm curious to see how Indiana tries to neutralize him early in the game. I think you're right. We're going to see kind of a measured start to the game offensively from Indiana, just because, you're playing in front of a crowd and you're trying to get back in that rhythm, even if it is a home crowd. Sometimes it's going to take a moment just to sort of get back into the groove of things, especially if you're Fernando Mendoza playing in a stadium where you've never played before and running this Indiana offense. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Jason Henderson, especially considering he had a season ended in the first game last year. I think he is going to look to make a game-changing play early, and it's up to Indiana to make sure that he is not able to do that. How they go about that, I don't know. But if he makes, say he forces a fumble or he jumps a short route early in the game, that could be something that might put Indiana fans on the edge of their seats a little bit. So it's something definitely to look out for.
And one thing to talk about with the Indiana fans before we get into score predictions is there's now a mascot. There's a bison. And the towels are back. What do we think about a bison?
I'm excited.
You're excited for it?
I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. Nick.
I fixed it.
Nick's still breaking the mic over there.
I fixed it. It's like I never touched it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have the bison. I think that this was obviously a long time coming, and I think that, with their program, finding success last season and a lot of people being very excited about the future of Indiana football and stuff, they definitely needed to up the game element and the game day experience for fans and for people. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in the coming years and even months potentially. Scott Dolson very vocal about wanting to make sure that, the game day experience in the stadium continues to improve and be better. And Cignetti, obviously, also a big advocate for that as well. We've heard him say multiple times he hates the press box and, all that stuff and like to see those changes. But yeah, I'm really excited for the Bison. I think that the reveal on Saturday for the fans in the crowd is going to be really special and really fun. And I think it's a really great thing for us to have and continue to improve upon with.
Do we think the Bison gets his own run out, or does he run out to Thunderstruck?
Can we
he
pick
gets
a
his
different?
own run out.
Can we pick a different entry song?
No.
I mean,
No,
Cignetti's stuck on
Yeah.
Thunderstruck.
Thunderstruck is great, but so many schools use it.
but it's so fun.
Give me like "For Whom the Bell Tolls" by Metallica or something. I feel like that would be sweet, especially, well, I don't know if we're going to get any night games, but if we do, that would be pretty sweet.
Supposedly Illinois is at 7:30 on Peacock.
Yeah.
That is the rumor.
Indiana
source.
State is 6:30.
Oh, Indiana
Friday.
State on a
Yeah.
Friday.
So we have at
Yeah.
least
chills.
2 night games, potentially.
Chills. The
But-
odd-numbered year means that Indiana subsidizes Indiana State's football program.
Oh god.
But, man, like, imagine For Whom the Bell Tolls instead of Thunderstruck, which a bajillion different schools
Maybe
use.
that'll be the Bison's run out song.
I believe
He gets his own on Saturday. I feel like he will.
I think there are 2 separate Bison reveals. One is with the marching band, and then there's a second one that is undetailed before the game, and I think that's the big one.
Which
Yeah.
one's going to be AI generated?
I would like to see the
None.
Bison skydive into the stadium.
That would be sick.
That would be amazing. But my
Jeff,
thing,
if you hear me, can he skydive into the stadium, please?
am I the only one who thinks the digital art is AI generated?
It's for the kids.
It doesn't look good.
It's for the kids.
It looks like I could ask like Chat GPT generate me an Indiana. In fact, I actually did that, and I got something that was pretty close to what
I mean,
they
it's
ended
an
up.
animated art style.
Yeah, no,
It's
but
a
it's
very
like
generic animated art
it
style.
shouldn't be generic. That's the thing. Is if it, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the digital art.
They had a big inflatable one for the freshmen at their.
Okay,
They're-
that's
and it looked
Yeah, it
different.
looked better. It looked
Yeah,
different.
it
okay.
did.
Okay, if the real thing looks better, then fine. But if the real thing looks like that, then
I think the real thing is gonna be legit. I think it's gonna look good, and I think it's something that fans are really gonna like.
And I love that it's not just for football; it's for all 24 sports.
Yeah.
Like you
It's
go
the
around the
He'll
Big
be
Indiana
Ten,
mascot.
everywhere.
right? You
He'll
go
be
around the Big Ten,
everywhere.
you see like Sparty running around, you see Brutus.
Puddles.
It felt like something was missing at Indiana the past few years, especially
Yeah.
with football last year. And I'm very excited to see what I can't talk today. What Hoosier the Bison does this week or this year for football season and for other sports and beyond.
Hoosier the Bison running around Bart Kaufman Field after Indiana blows a 12-run lead to USC will be chills. It'll be amazing.
So wait a minute. If he's gonna walk out with the band, is he gonna walk out to back home Indiana? Is that
I wouldn't
a
mind
thing?
that because it is back
It is
and it's
back.
home in Indiana.
I want a live Bison.
That would be sick.
Yeah,
What?
that'd be cool.
Doesn't Colorado have that?
Colorado will not have Ralphie this year. Ralphie has retired, and they're training a new one.
Ralphie retired.
Yeah.
Oh.
Apparently, he was like refusing to listen to commands or something. So they just kicked him to the curb, and they're training a new one. But no live Bison for Colorado this year.
As long as I was going to say, as long as Indiana didn't bring back whatever 2-leg bison
Oh
that
my
was led on a
gosh.
leash with the big
That
head.
was so
Oh, man.
scary.
Yeah.
That is like honestly like an image for nightmares. Like
Nothing
it's
is scarier.
terrifying.
Nothing is scarier than early Purdue Pete, though.
Oh yeah.
I think current Purdue Pete is also pretty terrifying.
Look up
but-
early Purdue Pete. He looks like your sleep paralysis demon. I mean, he's
Early
terrifying. Compared to like now, like that Purdue Pete's like a children's book character. But early Purdue Pete, ooh,
Ava, did you just look it up?
yeah.
Would you like to
Scarier
show the
than-
class?
This also joins images of it went away. Hold on. This also joins low-key images. I'm probably gonna get flamed for this by Purdue fans. It joins images of your nightmares.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
Raise it up. You gotta go up.
Oh, can you see it?
Early Purdue Pete is
Oh my
terrifying.
God.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I did not expect it to look like that.
As if Purdue's campus wasn't scary enough. They had to deal with that.
I mean,
Look, I have friends at Purdue. They're great, but the campus is kind of garbage, let's be honest.
I just
Ross
have to
State
fit
is
this
nice.
in there
Ross State
because
is nice.
my dad's a professor at Purdue, and he's going to love that I say this because I say this all the time. Why do they put their grass in concrete patches raised 3 feet above the ground? That's just my gripe. That's
What?
it.
They do what?
They have to build ramps to get lawnmowers up to mow the lawn.
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah. Which is something only a campus built by
Anyways, I
engineering
digress.
students would do. But yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, Hoosier the Bison, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as he doesn't look like early Purdue Pete, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think Hoosier's going to be great, and I think people are going to love it.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out on a Saturday at noon. Well, the game starts at noon. He might run out.
This Saturday? 2:30,
You would think I know what I'm doing.
which is the same time as my dentist appointment. 2:30.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be here all
We've
season.
got dad jokes. We've got bike references from Nick. We've got a Shalubies t-shirt. The other thing that we wanted to cover, speaking of the Shalubies t-shirt, IU had how many different sticks on media?
Oh, there were
were
a bunch.
Shalubies. There was the IU Alliance.
The Alliance, yep.
Mm-hmm.
There was. I'm missing something.
There were
Curtis Pork.
Yeah, Curtis
there's,
Pork,
there's the
Pork.
whole ham.
Bacon
Will there
Jackson.
be Fernando Mendoza this year?
What
Roman Hamby?
can we even predict? Anything crazy that would happen in the IU?
See,
I have
Twitterverse?
no idea.
I got to
'Cause,
leave that one up to the Twitterverse.
Yeah, the Indiana Twitterverse is, or Xverse, whatever you want to call it now.
It's Twitterverse. I
Um,
don't care.
I
They're
don't know
creative.
how they, I don't know how they come up with all that stuff, but it's very enjoyable to watch. So
It is.
I can't make any prediction yet, because I think it's just gonna show up out of nowhere. But I don't think anything's gonna beat Shalubies. I really don't.
The fake restaurant that ChatGPT said was one of the top places to watch a game in Bloomington. Shalubies.
That's where Nick met his girlfriend.
She goes to a different school. You wouldn't know her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, man. Before we get out of here, let's predict the game that's at 2:30 on Saturday, the Old Dominion versus Indiana game, the number 20th team in the country. Plaskoff, we're going to make the Rook go first.
Ooh, okay. I think it's going to be similar to FIU in 2024, but I think Indiana will play a little bit better in the first half. So my score prediction, I'm going to say, is 38-17 in favor of Indiana. I think it'll be a one-score game at the half, potentially, maybe like a 10-point game at the half, and then Mendoza and company will start to get going. Run heavy at the first half, a lot of option plays, a lot of short passes, and then there's going to be one big turnover that switches the momentum, and it'll be Indiana from there. And I think 38-17 will be the final.
Ava?
I'm going with. I agree with Ian. I think that around the half it will be close. That's something that we saw a lot from this team last year, especially in the early season. Granted, it is a different group, but some habits stay. Especially also because they're figuring themselves out still a little bit, and we're going to probably see a lot of people rotating in and out. My final score prediction, though, is, let's go Old Dominion.
If you don't remember, Ava would usually make us have to go back to her because she would take so long to actually give us an answer for her score. So
Old Dominion 14.
There's 2 teams in
Indiana.
there.
Indiana 0. Wow.
Indiana. Whoa. Indiana. 21.
Okay.
One-score game?
One score game.
Sure. Why not, guys?
Oh, ESPN would have a field day with that. Heather Dinich is going to be like, see, I told you so.
You guys.
Indiana would drop to 127
Yeah.
in the FBI.
Okay, then fine. I'll give them another score.
Heather Dinich is definitely upset because she didn't get into Shalubies when it opened. I think that's why she's so upset that Indiana exists. Look, Indiana's supposed to be bad, and the fact that Indiana is good is making a lot of people upset. Give me Indiana by a final score of 42-17, and I'll offer my season-long record prediction 9-3. Loss at Oregon. I'm going to go against the grain and say they lose to Illinois, and a loss at Penn State.
That was the next thing I was going to ask, is we're going to do the season predictions. Very rapid fire. You don't get to think about it. You just have to give me a record. Plaskoff will make you go again.
All right.
Got to let Ava think.
10-2 Oregon and Penn State losses, and a borderline playoff that probably has them put in the Citrus Bowl.
I like it.
Ava?
10-2. Close game to Oregon, but they lose. I almost said something I shouldn't have. Penn State win. Iowa lose.
I don't hate that.
Hmm.
I could see.
Yeah.
I could see losing at Iowa.
Yeah.
I think
If my prediction comes true, I'd like a trophy.
I will.
How about a
I
cookie?
will. I will buy your order from Shalubi's.
Ooh,
That's good.
Yeah,
All I'll say about that
we'll
Penn State
drive you
game.
to one of the football games.
Tom Allen almost beat James Franklin
drive
in
me to all of
2023.
them.
I know
So Tom Allen almost beat James Franklin in 2023.
he did.
That was
There were no fans in the building though.
I really feel
2023?
good about what I just said. I really
In
feel strong
2023?
about it.
Never mind.
Not
I'm thinking
2020.
of the wrong game.
Not 2020.
I'm thinking
It
of the wrong
hasn't been
game.
that long.
23.
Plaskoff.
That
Every
game-
year's molded together.
That game was, if I remember right, a 7-point game with about 3 minutes left before Indiana took a safety.
And who was the quarterback of that football team?
Brendan Sorsby.
Cincinnati legend.
Cincinnati.
Yeah. And he's actually good. I was thinking about this when I was like, I don't know, taking a shower this morning. Brendan Sorsby.
Shower thoughts with Rodecap.
Tom Allen refusing to name a starter against Ohio State was the funniest thing ever because he thought it would do something. It's like, we're not going to name a starter between Brendan Sorsby and Taven Jackson, who, by the way, did not win the starting job at UCF, because we need all the competitive advantages we can get against Ohio State. And then they came out and they couldn't score a touchdown.
I figured out why I said there was nobody at that stadium. Because you were saying when Indiana almost beat a good team in the Tom Allen era, and I was thinking back to the Ohio State game.
Oh, no. In 2020?
The 2020 Ohio State game. Yeah.
What could have
So
been?
I apologize. There were actually, 107,209 people at that game.
Yeah, and it
That's
was
a few.
It was a 7-point game with 3 minutes left, if
That's
memory
right.
serves. And then Indiana found a creative way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. A hallmark of the Tom Allen era.
Put that on a T-shirt.
Him and Dabo Swinney in the same room at Clemson seems like such an interesting mixture.
Or
I wouldn't call it that.
maybe. I just like Clemson.
Okay. Anyways, apparently we have to teach Ava what aura means after the podcast
No, I
episode.
know what that word means.
Anyways, that's all the predictions we've got. Did I give mine? No.
No.
I think Indiana wins against Old Dominion. Shocking revelation. I'm going to go 31-17. I think at halftime it's tied at 10s, maybe
Ooh.
14-10 Indiana. For the season, I'm going to say 10-2, and I'm going to say they beat Iowa. Solely because I know way too many people at Iowa, and I just want to see Indiana beat Iowa. And I think they lose to Penn State. I think they lose at Oregon. I feel like those are give-me's.
So if Old Dominion does not score exactly 17 points, then Ava wins, because she was the only one that did not say 17 points out of the three of us.
One of us three could still be the closest.
We're keeping tally this year.
Ooh.
We're
Should we
keeping
be
tally.
writing these down?
Sure.
It's if only it was being recorded somewhere and
We're
we could go
keeping
back.
tally.
and-
At the
Yeah,
end of the
we'll
season,
Figure that out later.
the winner gets a trophy.
The winner gets a Shalubi soggy Reuben sandwich for free.
Are we doing trophies? Are we really going to do a trophy?
I don't-
We'll figure that out. We'll
I'll
let
come
you
up with
guys
something,
know.
you guys. I got this. I'm brainstorming as we speak right now.
That's why she can't think of scores, because she's too busy brainstorming. Oh!
Cool.
Well, that's all we've got for Pack the Rock podcast this week. Thank you for joining us again. Nick Rodecap, Ava Wegenke, The Rook, Ian Plaskoff, and I'm William Stewart. Be sure to follow the Hoosier Network and us four on Twitter for all your Indiana football needs, and we will see you all next week.